Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Well, everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom and right here in Beaverton. But we're going to take you right now also simultaneously down to LA with the one and only Nick Krupke. As Nick, you know, there's so much going on down there. Oregon preparing for the Rose Bowl tomorrow. Ohio State, you have been down there in all of the action. I'm sure anybody who's been watching has been seeing all of your interviews and everything that goes on. I mean, I got to ask for you. I want to get into all that. But for you personally, how are you doing?
Waiting to go to bed.
I was going to say, I cannot imagine that you've had a lot of sleep or rest. I mean, every time I see a new interview come in with you, you're either out on a field, you're at some, a conference, you're talking to some player somewhere, all over the place. Is it just pretty much nonstop for that?
Absolutely, but this is the fun stuff, right? I mean, we're here.
Yeah.
Nobody loves being on Good Day Oregon more than me. So it's fun to be able to play with Kim and Shauna and Andy and Tony and all the gang. So also cool to be with Greg Nibbler here. So, yeah, now it's all kind of died down. We went out to the Rose Bowl today. Got the Ducks took their team photo earlier this morning. Might have caught it here. We had the coaches press conference with Ryan Day from Ohio State and Dan Lanning. So all the talk about the game is now done. We got to play the game tomorrow, 2 o'clock, of course, in the Granddaddy. And as you know, Greg, growing up in the West, there is no cooler bowl game to be at. And how awesome that an old Pac-12 team is going to play a Big Ten team. Of course, now both Big Ten Ducks walked in there and took their trap and won the conference in year number 1. But very cool. Some would say, well, why in the world are maybe 2 of the best teams in the country playing in round 2? That's kind of how the season worked out. So, it's a tough road for Oregon to get by. Obviously, they beat Ohio State, but remember, that was a 1-point game, 32-31. They ran out of clock. They were going to kick a game-winning field goal, and it didn't happen. So this should be pretty much, again, right down the middle. That one had a lot of lead changes in it, and that was also at home. This is a neutral site. Might be more Duck fans, though, which isn't something you normally would have said, but these Ohio State fans, they got to go the further distance, obviously, and then maybe they're trying to save up to go to Dallas and Atlanta, as are the Ducks, because it's not just over here. Back in the olden days, Greg, you won the Rose Bowl. That was it. You hope the voters gave you the number 1 spot. Doesn't happen like that anymore.
No.
Now you got a chance. These Ducks would be the first team to ever go 16-0. That's a big ask.
That's huge. And beating, the same team twice in a season, no matter who that team is, that's always a difficult thing, let alone a team like Ohio State. I do like, as you mentioned, though, it is a classic Rose Bowl matchup of years past. It would be, if the Ducks were still in the Pac-12. But, I mean, the 2 top teams there, and now obviously in the same conference. But with that, I want to know what the feeling is like around there, because people, favored right now is Ohio State, technically, by the line, which barely, but still, how does that feel around there? Oregon being the number 1 team in the country still, being the underdog in this. What's the kind of sentiment that you're getting from the players around there?
Well, I want to know first, did you lay any money on the game yet?
I did not.
Okay, yeah. Me neither. They don't care. These guys don't care, man. And that's actually probably a little fuel to the fire, right? Okay, somehow you still don't respect us after going 13-0 and already beating this team and taking on all comers. Okay, we'll go prove it out there tomorrow on the field. So it's all good, man. Even Duck fans, but they did get a tough draw, okay? Let's be honest here. Okay, this Ohio State may be a national championship team. Can't be said for all 12 teams in the playoffs. Then you might have to go next week to Dallas and play Texas, okay? Oof. And then maybe you have to play Georgia in Atlanta for the championship. So, that's the way that they did it, and they're working on maybe they see things differently in the future. This is the first year of the expanded 12-team playoff. The Mountain West Conference champ got in, first round bye with Boise State. Great record. A team that almost beat the Ducks early in the season. So things to change and work out, but got to play the game on the field, man.
Yeah, these are the cards. This is what it is. I mean, they're probably not going to get a much friendlier crowd than you will have at the Rose Bowl, as you mentioned, though, with it being close enough to Oregon. You would think there's probably a lot of Oregon fans that are heading down there. You had Dallas playing Texas. That's going to be a tough one. But, they make it past this and they go on to that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of U of O fans that are flying down there for that.
Yeah,
too.
And that's what's different. Maybe a lot of people didn't travel here because they got to save money. It would be next Friday would be the Ducks in the Cotton Bowl if they won. And then on the 20th, we're talking about 3 games in a row, big-time travel. So it's a brave new world in college football, as we know. And it's all about that mighty money, and there's a lot of it going around, and we're happy to be here.
Yeah, well, for you, as you mentioned, you've been on Good Day Oregon. You've been on so many different interviews that we're running. And by the way, we're going to be running some of these here in just a couple of minutes. So for everybody watching, we've got a whole package put together of some of Nick's interviews. But what happens now as a reporter, as somebody covering this? You've done all the media day stuff. The game's tomorrow. What happens in between there?
Well, as soon as I'm done with you, I'm going to go back into the room where Kevin is editing our piece for tonight at 4, and then work on our stuff for the morning because we'll be live out there in front of the Rose Bowl at 9 a.m. So wish us well as we drive through Rose Parade traffic to get there. All good. It's all good. It's all good, man. Just be able to kind of decompress a little bit, and then because tomorrow is the day. That's the one.
Yeah.
There's no better place to be in all of college football than the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, the granddaddy of them all. So all good, man.
Well, there's no better person to be down there reporting on it and bringing it back to all of us here. So thank you, Nick, for being down there and doing that, and getting through the traffic to get to the Rose Bowl tomorrow. I cannot wait to watch this. It's going to be, whatever happens, I feel like it is going to be a great game.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. You got to be there on New Year's Day. Since we were kids, Greg, that's the one you watch. So
that is the one.
Tuning in. So,
I'll be watching it from here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, look, there's roses here.
Yo, wait a minute. Let me see this here. Do you get to keep one of the roses as part of the?
Take it live. That's what they had the trophy on earlier. I think they're fake.
Oh.
Maybe not.
Wait.
They smell real. No, those are real deal.
They got the real roses. All right. It's official. All right, Nick, thank you so much. I'm going to pull this package up. You have fun. Go try to take a break if you can, and we will be talking to you, a lot. We're going to be hearing from you a lot here as we watch this game.
Yeah, we'll see you on TV at 4 o'clock.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Nick.
All right. See you, Greg.
More than just the bowl game, New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl is the evolution of this Oregon football program. The Ducks on that pursuit of perfection to chase their first ever national championship.
All I can do is hear about it, see videos about it, but I finally get to be in the Rose Bowl and play in it, so I just can't wait.
The countdown to January 1st is on for the #1 unbeaten 13-0 Ducks, who are slight underdogs against Ohio State in the granddaddy of them all.
It's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing else to be said about that.
The Big Ten champs play on the field last spoke 3 weeks ago, earning a bye into round 2 of the expanded 12-team college football playoffs. Now for part 2 of their budding conference rivalry with the 8th-seeded Buckeyes.
It's a dream come true. It's things you talk about at the beginning of the season. So to see it all happen just shows the amount of work we put in to get here. It's like you said, it's surreal.
The U of O was last in this rosy spot back in 2020 when Eugene Ray's senior tight end Patrick Herbert was a freshman on that squad with his big brother Justin 5 years ago.
We've been Duck fans since the 60s, so it's been fun to be able to see Oregon grow and change in my lifetime, and I'm sure it's been the same for my parents and my grandparents.
Fellow Eugene native inside linebacker Bryce Betcher was born into the green and yellow, attending the 2010 Rose Bowl as a little kid.
You always, have a dream or think about what something will be, but you really don't know until you're in the moment, living it. I think in this part of my career, it's every memory's been better than what I thought it'd be.
This will be the first time the prestigious bowl out west will be for a national quarterfinal in the CFP.
Deep, easy breathing, enjoying the moment. I think a lot of times people are just walking through life and don't appreciate, the present and the day we're given.
Dylan Gabriel, men of Oregon, know the grass is dang green in Eugene and Pasadena.
I'm excited for the grass. The grass is beautiful. I think we need more grass in this world, not that artificial stuff.
This will be the Ducks' 9th time playing for the Roses, a first for third-year head coach Dan Lanning.
I'm really glad that, in my position, what you get to enjoy is the coaches on your staff that have never been in a game like this, the players on your staff that have never been in a game, and hoping everybody recognize how special this opportunity is for them.
The Ducks and Buckeyes already met in the Classic when Oregon prevailed on their home turf of Autzen back in October 32-31. This one sets up to be real fun yet again.
Coming out here, just playing in the Rose Bowl and stuff like that, it's kind of crazy, that Mariota and all the greats from Oregon that played here or played in the Rose Bowl. So, just us being up next and stuff, it definitely means everything.
Have you ever had more fun playing football?
No. this is great. Like, just, like, I don't think I've ever woken up, putting my body through stress, but, like, to be grateful and blessed every day.
Rose Bowl's everything. I mean, growing up being a Pac-12 fan and getting to play a team like Ohio State, Pac-12, Big Ten, and now being in the Big Ten and just playing in the Rose Bowl's awesome. I'm super excited for this. It means the world. I mean, there's a ton of dudes from Oregon on this team, and just collectively knowing that we were able to make it to the school in Oregon and just be able to wear the O on our chest, it means the world to us.
I remember watching like the 2012 Rose Bowl. Is really my fondest memory of always watching it. As as a West Coast kid and PNW kid at heart, this is the bowl game you dream of playing in, and I'm just super excited.
One-time Oregon leader Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
It's just such a cool game to be, and the fact that it's still part of this is pretty cool.
You've been around the game long enough to see all the changes in it. How unique is it now that the playoffs has been expanded even more? That you got a chance to play 4 games.
I was just talking to Dennis. The prize for winning the Rose Bowl is to play in a Cotton Bowl, but you would never have thought that before. And then if you win the Cotton Bowl, then you get to play 1 more game. So it's different. I think they're trying to keep the bowl games alive a little bit. And I understand that because of the history and the tradition. But there's been so many changes in the last 5 years. It's kind of tough to keep your head on all of them. So,
how comfortable are you in your role now as OC?
I'm really comfortable. I mean, because we have great kids and we have a great staff, so the people you get to work with every day are awesome. So that part has been really kind of a seamless transition just because of the focus of the players. You don't have to motivate them every day. They come in every day. They're hungry. They want to get better. And we got an amazing coaching staff that I get a chance to work with. So that part's been, the football part's been great.
You carry a piece of every place you stop and have coaching stops. Obviously some special moments in Eugene for you. How much of that is part of your legacy in your life of all those great years you have in the Ducks?
I loved Eugene. That was such a great experience for me. Coming out there from the East Coast, I was a small school guy coming from New Hampshire and didn't know anybody. Mike called me to interview me, Coach Bellotti called me to interview me, and I met the staff, and I really liked their staff. Nick Aliotti and Gary Campbell and John Neal, Don Pelham, Steve Greatwood, Tom Osborne. It was just such a cool bunch of guys, and I really enjoyed when I went out there for the interview and was excited when they offered me an opportunity. But I left the East Coast. It was my first time I ever went to the West Coast. I didn't know anybody in the state of Oregon in my whole life, and it turned my life to a different turn. And I don't think anybody knows where their life's going to take them, but it was an amazing time. And that 6 years that I got a chance to spend there were awesome.
Oregon certainly in that game played a tremendous game and has continued to get better as the season's gone on. But I think both teams are just in a different place than we were midway through the season. It's going to come down to the play on the field. And it's about matchups. And then, understanding that in all 3 phases, it all has to work together. So, you see this in the NFL playoffs a lot, where teams will play each other again later on in the season. And it's just going to become part of college football.
Great teams have tendencies. There's things that Ohio State does really well that I'm sure that they'll work to do in this game, and there's things that Oregon does really well that we're going to try to do in this game as well. So it's a little bit of the double-edged sword of how much do you want to change going into a next game. But I'll say this, every time you turn on Ohio State's film, you do see new wrinkles. You see Coach Day and his staff coming up with new things that make it a challenge to prepare for, and I think we challenge our coaches here to do the same thing. So, like you said, we're different teams at this point. At Oregon, we talk about trying to be the best version of ourselves towards the end of the season. That's when you have to play your best ball, and we'll certainly need to be able to play our best ball, and I expect the same from them at the end of the season here.
Well, times certainly change. These teams know each other well. We'll see what it looks like. Wednesday, 2 o'clock kickoff for the winner, gets that trophy, and then gets a ticket to Arlington, down to the Cotton Bowl against either the Texas Longhorns or Arizona State Sun Devils. That'll be next Friday in Texas. Win there, you play on the 20th of January in Atlanta for the national championship. Got to get this one first. 2 o'clock kick from Pasadena. In Los Angeles, Nick Krupke, Fox of Oregon.